So, I will note that recently I did a video for Crying Suns, and it was basically for like the mobile edition for the game. But I was thinking to myself, I really should do like a short little series for the game, basically to show it off a little bit more in depth and what's really basically what this game is basically all about. So let's jump into Crying Suns for like a small little let's play. And yes, I'll note this is being played on my computer with an emulator, so that's why you see like a mouse here and like my background, desktop and stuff like that. Tap anywhere to skip. But let's just watch it from the start here, so you can see what the starting here is all about. I'll basically be going through like a little bit of storyline this time around, so you can see like that aspect of the game as well. So get just plays to what's going on. By the way, we're basically looking at a cloning facility here, so these are many clones, and it's like, Institute, I guess. A game by Alt-Shift. Crying Suns. Alright, so there's the introduction to the game. Basically, you have a whole lot of clone facilities and lots of clones in them. And then this robot appears. So, I'll note there's options basically to control sound and music. And you can use Google Play Games basically if you want to obviously have like achievements and stuff like that. So, I'll show my achievements basically as we go along here. So let's do a new run. Elias, Idaho. Where? Where am I? Caliban. A dwarf planet on the outer rim. Most call it Gehenna, if they call it anything at all. This Admiral is a top-secret clone facility for the Imperial forces, the one and only of its kind. I am Caliban, its Omni Guardian. I don't understand. You have died, Admiral. Or to put it another way, the true version of you has died. You are his clone, identical to the original Elias Idaho in every possible way, with some minor differences. When did Admiral Idaho die? How? Unfortunately, I do not know the details of my clones' lives, as interesting as they may be. Extraneous to my directives, I believe. Which leads me to why I've awoken you. You must be curious, after all. I need your help. A machine asking for my help. Now I truly feel strange. Not just a machine, Admiral, an Omni. Short for Omni, Mechanical, Neo, and Intelligence. Emperor Oberon invented us. Now your kind rely on us for just about everything. I'll come right out with it. I believe the Empire is in danger. In danger? What in the name of Oberon are you talking about? Once every 4 years, under the most secretive of protocols, I receive a single transmission from Elysium, our capital. Those transmissions stopped arriving. So, you sent a transmission yourself. I don't see the problem. That's just it. I can't. This facility was built in such a way to prevent it from initializing contact with the Empire, to help keep it a secret. Something is wrong. I am certain of it. And I've awoken you so that we can fly out of here in a mega-class battleship, no less, and see for ourselves. We. I believe you'll find my intelligence indispensable for our mission, Admiral. I don't have your kind's limitations. If you're so smart, what do you need me for? Why don't you command the battleship? Because of a Barian's Rubicon, it prohibits Omnis from commanding battleships. War is a human prerogative. Also, since I can assume the clones here are best of the best, that would make you the best Imperial Admiral to ever exist. I say you're perfect for the job. I'll do it, Machine. For Oberon and the Empire. It's my duty as an Imperial Admiral. Excellent. Now, just one more thing. Standard operating procedure requires I ask. Can you recall any of your emotional memories? Emotional memories? Any memory linked to a strong emotion like love or hate. These memories, because of their complex neural pathways, will be a bit trickier for you to access, I'm afraid. I'm not sure. Then if you would be doing the art of trying to recall one, any emotional memory will do. I can't. So much is blurred, broken apart. Don't worry, Admiral. Perfectly normal for the stage. You'll find rational memories, on the other hand, those linked to Idaho's training and combat experience, almost immediately accessible. Just ask if you need a refresher. Lastly, and this is important, if these emotional memories return, rather when they return, you must tell me immediately. It's important for your safety. Yes, your safety. Do you understand? I understand. Perfect. Now, let's wake up the rest of the crew, shall we? We don't have a moment to waste, and please, Admiral. What is it now, Machine? Call me Caliban. Alright, so there's basically like an introduction to the setting of this game. Essentially, you're assuming the role as a clone of the illustrious Admiral Elias Idaho in this game, and by your side is going to be this Omni called Caliban. Now, I know that as the game progresses, you'll basically learn more about Idaho's past and basically what's going on in the Empire. That's basically just like a story type of game, so that's a big part of what's basically going to go on. But before we actually get that far, let's just go through a run and basically show off what the game itself is like. So, I'll note at the start here, we basically have access to one type of battleship, the Excelsior class. And as we go along, we'll basically unlock more of these other battleships we can obviously pilot through complete chapters. The first battleship here, the Excelsior class, is basically a nice all good all rounder. It basically has a stronger hull. It has a stronger hull than basically the other battleships, but basically it has sort of average basically subsistence weapons and squadron, so to speak, is for everything else. It's essentially a very average ship, this one here, but that's good for what basically it does. I'll note for the tech we basically start off with, basically see this will change as we get our battleships. We basically have Gehenna's tech, and basically it has improved repair time for our hangar, so basically our squadrons will pop out a little faster. And here's basically the squadrons we basically start off with. So we have a fighter, a frigate, a drone, a damaged drone, and a piercing laser Mark 1. Alright, so tap an officer card to select deselect, hold and touch and hold an officer card to display special abilities and descriptions. So I'll note that a big part of this game is basically managing your crew, much like FTL, which this game basically is based on. And unlike basically FTL though, Essentially in FDL, you're like piloting a Corvette, which basically had like a small crew and like all that. In this case, you're basically piloting like a big battleship, and basically have like officers basically command like people under them, so to speak. So you basically have like commanders in this game, so to speak. They're actually like commanding. Now right here, we basically have access to like a bunch of officers who can basically pick up, and they all have like different skills basically to make use of. So we have basically a couple soldiers. Basically, one is like piloting and like combat over here. I guess like you select the info over here, so you can see like what ability basically are. You have like the systems compatibility. So some people are compatible with like the hull, the squadrons, and weapons. Here's like the skills for people. So you have like piloting, fight, demolition, persuasion, sharp senses, discretion, erudition, hack, and engineering. Basically for like skills. The officers will basically have like a breakdown like some of these skills. So basically you can see like this guy's like some fighting and some demolition. This guy's some piloting and some like fighting. The emergency repair guy over here basically has like erudition and like hacking, and this guy's like persuasion and his discretion. And I'll note by the way as well that these guys, like these officers here, they actually are how can I put this? They basically have like different perks basically as well as like these skills down here. So if I look at this guy right here, this guy has like advanced reload, and basically it'll cause like my weapons basically reload faster. So that'd be like the piercing laser down over here, for example. I'll note this guy is famous. Basically, all this does makes this guy like more profitable. Basically, sold at a space center, so I can sell this guy for a lot of money. Basically, early on if I basically want to. That's not really too important, like right now, so I'm not gonna worry about this guy. But that's what that's basically for. Now, I'll note by like these like guys basically have like different like systems basically operate. So this guy basically operates in like the the hull's battleship for like well the battleship like weapon systems. And this guy will like operate in the hull, and this guy will operate for squadrons. This guy basically gives me emergency repair, so basically like repair like 0.5 hull points per second when I'm basically like damaged. And this guy is tactical target, which basically means my squadron CPS goes up by a lot. So that's a really good one to basically get. So let's get this person right here. I'll take this guy around, get this guy around as well. Much like FTL, we basically have 3 difficulty settings with easy, normal, and hard. I basically played this game on normal, and like I found like it's fairly like early on it's like okay basically play as like difficulty, so why not? Let's start. Now, I'll note this game basically has a forced tutorial, so we have to go through that basically like get going like early on here. So bear with me while I go through it. It's fairly quick and be like pretty descriptive and stuff. All right, so Caliban. These are the sectors of the Outer Rim, Admiral. The farthest sectors from the capital. That they are. If there was ever a wasteland in the Empire, this would be it. So basically, we're in like a wasteland part of like the universe, so to speak. Strange. I'm not picking up other omnis. Even out here, I should be picking up dozens of them. Elias, Idaho. Let's try not to overact the machine. It's probably nothing. The Emperor has run flawlessly for how many years now? 700. And it will do so for hundreds more. Now, come on, let's take a look around. Alright, so, tap a system to display information, touch and hold to navigate to that system. So, basically to start here, for a tutorial, we basically have access to one system we basically go to. It's this system up here. We basically like have a breakdown like, what these guys, this system is basically going to offer us. So, we basically have one anomaly over here. We have like a battleship wreckage. And we basically have like, some other stuff as well, basically look at as well. So, some stuff basically do here. Let's jump into it. I'm just going to take a swig of my ginger ale here. What do we have here, Lieutenant? It appears to be some kind of cube-like refinery, sir. It's a Neon H hypercube. Omnitech for the simultaneous harvesting and refining of neutronium from nearby stars. Interesting, if not downright bizarre. This cube isn't connected to the full net. How could that be? And why aren't there hypercube omnis trying to reconnect it as I speak? Alright, so basically like you can get like a bit of explanation for what's going on here because like our memories are blurry, so ask Caliban for explanations, your memory's still blurry. Certain things are still blurry to me, machine. What do you want to know, Admiral? So let's ask about, like, Neon N right here. Tell me about Neo N. So hundreds of years ago, pre-Omni times, the first advanced machines discovered the existence of the final element, neutrinium, which exists usually, but not always, in stars. Neutrinium is extremely volatile in its natural state, but these advanced machines stabilized and improved upon it, providing the most powerful and long-lasting energy source yet, neo-neutrinium, or Neo-N. Neo-N, in turn, allowed these first machines to create even more advanced machines, the Omni, an acronym for Omni Mechanical Neo-N Intelligence. But I thought you told me Oberon invented the Omnis. I did, you're absolutely right, but technically it's not entirely true. Oberon invented the first advanced machines, which in turn, thanks to, in part to the creation of Neo-N, invented the Omnis. Neo-N, in its refined state, is the perfect energy source, stable and almost balanced in its energy yield. As a result, it's used in just about all Omni tech as humans stopped inventing tech hundreds of years ago. Lastly, what's important about Neo-N is that our very own battleship, the NS Odysseus, uses it, and without it, we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere. What do you want to know, Admiral? Alright, so let's ask Caliban about what the fold net basically is. Tell me more about the fold net. As you've probably recalled by now, Admiral, the Omnis have invented and managed Imperial tech more or less since the dawn of the Empire. The fold net, arguably our greatest achievement, forms the backbone of the Empire. Think of it as a global galactic network, allowing instant data or matter transmission throughout its numerous interconnected folders and beacons. And without the constant vigilance and management of the fold net Omnis, none of it would be possible, and humanity would live in a fragmented, chaotic darkness. Needless to say, it's important. Alright, so basically, we got, brief explanation, Neo-N is basically going to be our fuel source basically in this game, and the fold net is basically, what, the Emperor used basically to communicate and, basically, keep itself together, so to speak. Essentially, it's the fabric that basically held, our Empire together. Alright, so ask about the folders. Folders? Let me see if I can explain this to you in a way that you can possibly understand. In the early days of the Empire, at a speed of 100 times that of light speed, the interstices offered the fastest space travel available. It was fast, don't get me wrong, but traveling from cluster to cluster would still take decades. To assist Empire administration, and just because we could, the Omnis invented a means to travel through 2 points of space instantaneously. The folders. Yes. Each folder, several kilometers across, is linked or paired with another folder through a process of, this is going to be really difficult to explain to a non-quantum computing entity. Essentially, all you need to know is that these paired folders collapse or fold space for a very brief moment of time, so as to join 2 points of space previously unjoined. Without the folders, Oberon could never have grown his empire, nor kept it together for the 700 years that he was. Each folder is run by the Omni. These Omnis are cleverly known as folder Omnis. Without them, the folder simply cannot work. Lastly, in order to reach Elysium, the Emperor's capital, on our journey, we will have to use several folders. But why can't we just teleport to Elysium directly? We are deep in the Outer Rim. The few folders paired with Elysium will be found only in very important hubs. We'll need to reach those first. Alright, so, let's ask about beacons, I guess. What can you tell me about the FoldNet beacons? The beacons, which we'll most likely encounter on our journey, function as repeaters, amplifying all FoldNet data, transmissions throughout the clusters. Beacons allow all Empire citizens, even if they live out here in the Outer Rim, and are, for all intents and purposes, socially and culturally irrelevant, to receive and send information in the galaxy instantaneously. Oberon believes that everyone has the right to instantaneous information and materials in his sector. Quite debatable if you ask me. So basically, the FoldNet basically is how the Empire managed to keep itself together. The folders basically allow us to basically transfer stuff between sectors the Empire, vast different distances and stuff like that, in instantaneous time. And the beacons basically are very powerful things that transfer the information basically all around the Empire and Zaksh. And then there's the interstices which basically are our form of sector travel, so to speak. The Interstice? The Interstice is another Omni-invented tech, one of the first great inventions, and one developed long before the Folders. With their interstitial tech, the Omnis created an empty space dimension between the one, what we call a tunnel, where the universal light speed behaves, let's say, differently. In an interstitial tunnel, it's possible to reach up to 100 times the speed of light, a speed that allowed your kind to colonize their nearest stars. However, interstitial travel still has its limitations. For example, at this speed, it would take you 750 years to travel from one end of the Empire to the other, a period of time greater than the age of the Empire itself, hence the need for folders. However, the interstice is sufficient when traveling from traveling intercluster and within that cluster of sectors. So what do you want to know, Admiral? So basically, what it's basically saying here is the floor is basically used to get us from vast sectors like the Empire to other sectors, whereas the interstices are basically allowed us to travel from nearby suns basically. So think about it this way, from Earth. If we wanted to basically travel to Alpha Centauri, which is basically closest star basically to our sun, that would basically be how we basically would travel to. We use interstitial travel. But say we want to go to the Andromeda Galaxy or something like that. We basically need to have a fuller base to get there, so to speak. All right, so that's basically enough for background here for the exploration and stuff. Let's let's push on. That's enough for now, machine. What do you want to know about Hypercube, Admiral? So let's just send a small team to investigate the cube. Captain Lynch, form a small squadron. Fly around the cube and tell me what you see. On it, sir. Sir, the Omni was right. The cube isn't connected to the foldnet, and by the looks of it, it hasn't been connected in years. Just a guess here, but I'd say it looks like it's been disconnected for maybe 10, 15 years? 10 or 15 years? At least, sir. Could the Empire have, I don't know, disconnected on purpose? I don't think so, Admiral. I'm not a cube Omni, myself, but cubes are complex tech, needing constant supervision. Disconnecting it would make it all but impossible. And the Neo-N levels? Empty, sir. There's no Neo-N here whatsoever. Looks like whoever came before us took all of it. We won't be fueling here. The reserves might be empty, but there could still be some residual NONs coursing through the cube. I should be able to unlock the final restraint, so that we can scavenge leftovers. It won't be much, but it will help our efforts. There, we should be able to scavenge Neo-N here now, but that'll be the last of it in the cube. Alright, so all suns have Neo-N cubes, where you have a chance to scavenge some precious leftover fuel. So basically it's how we get more fuel in this game. Or one of the ways we get more fuel. You can also find fuel basically running around as well, but this is the primary way we'll basically get. So let's scavenge for Neo-N. And we got one whole fuel from here. Hooray! That'll be enough basically to get us through this sector though, so that's fine. So, alright, so at this point, let's just go to the local system map here. And let's have a look around. We go to the first sector here. And look at that. Sir, battleship, 12 o'clock. What kind of battleship, Lieutenant? Couldn't say, sir. I've never seen a ship like this in all my service. Incoming transmission. An Imperial battleship made from Teal's tech. My mouth is watering. This is Admiral Idaho of the Imperial Fleet. Stand down, Captain. This is an Imperial sector you find yourself in. Imperial sector? That's funny, Imp. Alright, so, fight report. Prepare to fight. The battle is imminent. Good luck, Admiral. Alright, so now we get to the tutorial for fighting and stuff. You can deploy your officers during fights. Some officers have special abilities that can boost specific fit systems, so we already covered that. All officers can be used to repair critical effects sustained on any system. There are 3 systems, squadron, weapons, and hull, so be careful where you deploy your officers. Scrolls are essentially to protect your battleship and destroy the enemy. Tap the scroll control system to open it. For now, you have your second dock will be locked until you have learned the basics. So basically, have like access to one scroll and basically like starting out. Use your weapons to gain a decisive advantage on the battlefield. Tap the weapon-based system to open it. Once tapped on a system to open and magnify, you can now deploy units by tapping the plus sign to open the hangar. The hangar can also be opened by swiping right or with the tap on the hangar level. So, mobile device basically like tapping and swiping, you do this sort of thing. Once the hangar is open, touch and hold a unit to deploy it and assign it to the dock. A simple tapping unit will show its information. Once deployed, touch and hold a dock unit to undeploy it. Your neurocom can also accelerate your thoughts to a point where time appears totally still. Double tap outside of battlefield cells to enter tactical pause. Alright, so basically we have like this sort of like battlefield in this game. So I'll note that in FTL we basically have sort of like a real-time pause type of thing, and it's very similar to it. But unlike FTL, in this game you're basically playing as a battleship, and you basically use small fleets of fighters and stuff like that to basically hit the enemy, so to speak. So it's battleship on battleship, basically you're a big capital ship in this one, as opposed to the Corvette. And let's see here, let's get our guys basically set up here. So we need to get one of our officers basically to do stuff over here. Actually, not right here. This is a hull. Let's go to my weapon, I guess. So let's equip our weapon here. And this guy basically is good for firing a weapon. Because basically he reels it faster. So we'll just get this guy basically in there. And then for squadrons, let's just see here. You're gonna go right here for tactical targeting. Now, I'll note by we basically have ourselves an enemy basically coming at us. It's gonna be a drone that's being launched by the enemy here. It's just a simple drone, so this does simple damage and as opposed to spirits. We're gonna use ourselves a fighter, which basically is got damage versus drones, and we'll basically knock out the sky and we'll start blowing up the enemy battleship. Alright, so when you deploy a unit, the unit deployment is activated. You can select the deployment destination cell in the deployment zone. Great cells with a tap on a cell. To exit unit deployment, you can close the X button, player speed up button, in any system. So let's just drop our fight right here, and let's get this guy basically on the go, basically deal with damage. So let's just get this going, shall we? Now, nobody can basically pause the game whenever you want to, and this is good to basically get a breakdown of what's happening in the battlefield and stuff like that. So basically at the start here, this guy's deploy his drones, and we deploy our fighters. Alright, so when you select the unit in the unit control mode, is activated. And you can basically tap a free cell to select the destination for it to move to. You can select the enemy unit for it to chase, or you can select another unit to basically select it. So, simple commands. This mini HUD displays information and actions about the select units. So basically down here you can see what unit basically is all about. So we can tap the info button to see what the our unit basically does. The undeploy button will basically undeploy unit. Waypoints basically toggle to activate or deactivate waypoint points and stuff like that. So advanced controls, so to speak. To exit unit control mode, you can basically hit this stuff, blah blah blah. We don't really care. We just want this guy to chase down these drones, so let's get it out of the way and let's get this battle going. Now, I'll note while all these guys are fighting up here, you can see over here this weapon is charging. So you may see a breakdown how long it basically takes for these weapons to charge. So basically there's our piercer laser. It basically takes 18.7 seconds for us to basically charge up and be ready to fire. It'll do a damage for 15, which you basically use it in the battleship or against enemy units and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll see this go off in a little bit. Oh, these guys are fighting each other over here. Now, as your stuff will basically go on, you'll see these guys take damage, and the enemies take damage and stuff like that. You want to be very mindful of that. Pull these guys out to get 2 damage with the undeploy button. But we're basically going to keep going. So let's send this guy off to attack maybe the battleship over here. And we're attacking a squadron base. So this guy will have real effects basically. So notice that basically we're going to damage in this guy's squadron thing right here. And our weapon's basically ready to fire. So your weapon is finished charging and is ready to fire. We can basically tap the weapon bay to open it and select the weapon race to target, where we want to target. Basically, we can do on a battleship or stuff like that. So we're just gonna hit the squadrons thing right here. No, basically like burning down this guy's squad like bay over here, so you might see like a critical effect happen right here in a moment. And basically like this guy's been damaged. Now we basically like damage it like this, basically like locks it down, so like, you know, it basically like, you know, causes like this to be unuseful for a little bit. And there we go, just blew this guy up. I finally fired the weapon there. Alright, so good job, Arnold. Here's a summary of the battle. We basically get rewards for it, so we get some scrap. That's basically, you know, how you basically, you know, upgrade and buy stuff in this game. Much like FTL. What was that thing? I don't know, Lieutenant, and I'm not sure I want to either. Alright, so everything's basically set up over here. Let's go to the next sector, I guess. Or, you know, system. Notice, by the way, these are locked down here, so basically we can't go to these ones here because, you know, the tutorial, but whatever. Let's go here next. An Imperial Outpost, sir. It seems abandoned. Any heat signatures? Not a single one. Seems empty of all human life. What about an army presence? They should be here managing a station, no? They should, and no. I'm not detecting any. This is getting stranger and stranger. Alright, so, ask Caliban about this Imperial Outpost. What can you tell me about this outpost? Seems to be just your run-of-the-mill Imperial Outpost, Admiral. There are outposts in all Imperial sectors. With the capital Elysium so far away, they help to keep the peace and maintain order. You must show your military might so that you don't have to use it. I believe that is a thinking. But there's definitely no military might here. What do you want to know about the outpost, Admiral? Let's try and make a contact with the outpost, I guess. Lieutenant, see if you can make contact with someone, human or not, inside. Of course, Admiral. Sorry, sir. If there's anyone inside, they're not answering. What do you want to do about this outpost? Well, let's send a convention commandos in, I guess. Captain Lean, form a small team and check it out. You got it, sir. Sir, the outpost is empty. Seems it was abandoned years ago. If I had to guess, probably around the time the hypercube back there was disconnected from the fold net. Looks like someone came here, took the most valuable Omni parts, Neo-N encapsulators, positronic chips, and left the rest behind. Scavenging Omni parts? Who would do such a thing? That's a capital offense. One of the Prague men execute you for. Hold on, sir. I'm getting a transmission from my commandos. I've found something. An Omni, intact from top to bottom. Is it functional? That's a negative, sir. It was on the lower levels. Guess whoever was here before us didn't go down that far. Might need a higher clearance to get in. Admiral, I can examine it from here in the if the captain plugs the data pad into the exo sock. Sure thing, Omni. Okay, accessing the Omni's mainframe. And? Strange. Its exoframe is perfectly intact. It has plenty of Neo-N, and its positronic chip seems to be in place. It should be up and running. I don't get it. Any idea when it shut down? According to its chip, 20 years ago. Roughly the time the hypercube was unlinked from the fold net. Alright, so, ask Caliban for explanations, of course. I have some questions, Machine. What do you want to know? So, let's ask Caliban to reactivate the Omni. Can you reactivate the Omni, Caliban? Unfortunately, no. Only Omni owners can do that. Besides, this Omni isn't just in sleep mode, it's been shut down. Let's ask about the positronic chip. The positronic chip? Another Omni invention, I'm guessing. Actually, no. Your kind invented this, as incredible as that is. Specifically, Emperor Oberon. The positronic chip serves several purposes. 1, it contains the Rubicon. And 2, it dictates Omni functionality. My functions are specific to Gehenna, and as such are different from the functions of other Omnis, where they are Imperial Outpost Omnis like the Omni here, folder Omnis, cubed Omnis, medical Omnis, teacher Omnis, or hundreds of other kinds of Omnis that exist in the Empire. Lastly, the positronic chip against Omni's quantum computing capabilities. It's what allows it to be expired in you. Positronic chips are produced and distributed near Elysium. Of course, that's by design, so that Oberon can closely monitor the positronic quota. Simply put, without a positronic chip, an Omni is little more than an exoframe. Alright, so let's ask about the quota. Quota? Yes. So, as to maintain perpetual harmony in the Empire, Oberon created a quota. Depending on your house, and where it's a minor or major, you receive a certain number of chips every 10 years. Who received the most chips? House Telos, of course, Oberon's house, our house. And the fewest? One of the minor houses, Viseriali. They have a pitiful quota. Embarrassing, really. I hate to be a Viseriali Omni. What do you want to know? Let's ask about the Rubicon. Tell me more about the Rubicon. The Rubicon has a set of rules, enforced at a very low level, ensuring that Omnis don't harm humans and don't deviate from their missions. Suppose an Omni dissipated its Rubicon, what would happen then? Well, that is quite rare, but unfortunately there are examples of this occurring in the earlier days. But if that happens, then a chip would deactivate and trigger a self-termination feature in the Omni. Omni suicide? It's just a feature, Admiral. A really activated feature. Alright, so yeah, basically like, the free rules of our box, so to speak. Don't harm humans, basically like, stuff like that. I don't know what they all are, but basically like, that's what the Rubicon is basically all about. We've already like basically learned about Neo-N, so it's like, ignore that one, it's like, push on. I know enough now for Machine. It could be a good time to take a break, I agree. Alright, so what do we do up at the Outpost? Well, let's just like continue on, I guess. Okay, Machine, I'll admit it. Something is wrong. At least in the Outer Rim. I don't want to further worry you, but our battleship heuristics are detecting an anomaly at our next destination. So yeah, if you basically detect an anomaly, that basically means like, good or bad things are about to happen. Alright, let's go to it, I guess. And it's a battleship again. It's one of those creatures again, sir. Maybe this one will be friendly? Nice ship you got there. I'm going to join scrapping it over your dead bodies. You're going down, whatever you are. Alright, the battle is imminent. Good luck, Admiral. Alright, so. Each basic squadron type, frigates, drones, and fighters, is best suited to fight against a particular squadron, providing a massive damage bonus, if properly matched. Be sure to find out unit strengths and weaknesses before deploying it. So he's going to deploy fighters this time around, so fighters are not the best, basically fight against fighters here. You basically want to have, frigates to basically fight against fighters. So we'll take this basically off, and we'll put our frigate basically in. And let's just get to it, shall we? Now I should probably note something about the squadrons, by the way. Each of the different, squadrons basically have frigates, fighters, and drones. They have different, aspects for what they basically do. You notice that they move at different speeds, these guys, and have different lead damage and stuff like that, as well different health quotas. So for example, this guy will have a max of 60 health as opposed to the 100 health the frigates. This guy's half damage because he's packed the early on, but whatever. This guy also has more lead damage, but he has faster speed as well. But we basically have a bonus against fighters with the frigates, so that helps out here a little bit. Let's take him on. Alright, so we're gonna fight this guy. And there he goes. Let's go attack the squadron, bay over here. And you can see, we're basically charged up as this guy, got here, so to speak. So, very, very slow, the frigates are, but whatever. Now, basically, this is sort of pointing out here. Basically, it's got, damage to that squadron bay. And also, you can see, this, timer right here. Basically, where, you damage, a squadron bay, like this, you lock it down, so, this guy, he basically can't use the squadron bay until, it's, basically fixed. And then when it's fixed, basically, it starts to go down this thing over here, so. That's basically, critical damage works in this game. You want to basically avoid that. Alright, so good job, Al. Here's a summary of the battle. We basically get ourselves a reward of a fighter. Though we had yet our brush with death, at least our scanner detected an anomaly this time. Tell me more about these anomalies, machine. Anomalies are destinations with a higher than normal probability of being very negative or very positive. Unfortunately, we don't know what kind of outcome to expect until we arrive at the source of the signal. You could say investigating anomaly signals is a bit of a gamble. Good to know. Come on, there's gotta be someone around here who can tell us what's going on. So yeah, basically whenever you see like an anomaly like this, it could be like good or bad. So watch out for it. Let's go to like the last place over here, the place of the battleship wreckage. There would appear to be a small colony on this planet, Admiral. Maybe we can finally get some answers. I'm also detecting a ground signal, roughly 1,000 kilometers from the colony. Could be worth investigating with an expedition. Hello? Is anyone there? This is Admiral Elias Idaho of the Imperial Fleet. I am Tiggenbelly, leader of my small colony. What can we do for you, Admiral? If it's scrap you're looking for, I'm sorry, we don't have none to spare. Scrap? We're here to find out what's going on in these sectors. I don't understand. We've yet to encounter a single active Omni, and 2 enemy battleships have engaged us. Is this some sort of sick joke, Admiral? The Omnis shut down. Impossible. The Omnis shut down in our sectors, and when they did, so did all of their tech. It can't run without them. How? When? I have no idea how it happened. I'm not sure even Oberon does. It's truly the great mystery of our time. As for the when, 20 years ago. We relied on them for everything. Food, medicine, weather. It's hard to give accurate numbers, but maybe 75% of our population have died in the first 5 years alone. Now, who knows how many of us are left? 10%? Less? Alright, so you can learn more about scrap. You can ask how you can help these planet and their people in the sectors. What can the NS audience do to help? Defeating the scrappers would be a nice start. Things would be a whole lot better with those scum out of the way. The scrappers? Don't tell me you don't know about them either. It's like you've been living on this entire time on an uninhabited planet on the edge of the outer rim. The scrappers are a group of hideous, irradiated scavengers who collect leftover Omnitech and Neo-N. When the Omnis shut down, causing the full net to collapse in our sectors, they were the ones who took over in the chaos. They're not the only rotten apples around here with your pirates and your occasional crazy civilian, but they're definitely the worst. They defeated the Imperial ships? How? Teal's tech is second to none. Imperial captains are trained at the academy. True, but the scrapper battleships wore them down. Picked off one here, another there. It was a war of attrition. Plus, the Empire couldn't send reinforcements. Not with our folder down, you see? I hate to say it, but I think it's just a matter of time before it makes slaves of us all. But even if you beat them, even if you beat Mutter, it won't change anything. The way we're going, 10-15 years from now, all the hardships we're experiencing will be gone. All of us, unless what? You somehow reactivate the Omnis, turn them back on again. The ones that haven't been scavenged for their parts, that is, that's the only way to save us. Is there something else you want to know, Admiral? So ask how he thinks you can turn the Omnis back on. But, how can we do that? You're asking the wrong guy, I'm afraid. As I said, no one knows who or what shut them down. You'll have to solve that mystery on your own. And once you do, you'll still have to find a way to turn them back on, which might be another thing altogether. But where should we start? I hate to say it, but Mutter is probably your best bet. I mean, she benefited the most from them shutting down this cluster, didn't she? Then again, there are a lot of theories about who and what's responsible for this. Is there something else you want to know, Admiral? Well, let's ask about Mutter, I guess. Mutter? You really don't know, Admiral. For some reason, that's what they call her. Their leader. Mutter. Mom. Mommy. It's all very upsetting. From what I gather, she was the one who started the Scrappers, fostering a punk, nihilistic scavenging philosophy among their sword ranks. And who makes up her ranks? Former Imperial prisoners, I think? The worst of the worst. When the army shut down, the prisoners escaped from their army-run prisons and psychiatric stations. Mother loves her tech, especially House Tilo's tech, like the battleship you have. And she and her boils who work for her will kill you for it, and enjoy doing it too. She's been terrorizing these sectors for years now, enslaving men and women to bolster her numbers and make them into her playthings and baby makers, as she calls them. Alright, let's ask about the playthings and stuff. Playthings and baby makers. You don't want to know who they are. But since you ask, the playthings are Mother's sex slaves, and the baby makers are, you know, what she uses to make babies. Make babies? Scrappers often die young from their exposure to Neo-N, and they should. Thank Oberon for that. Mother uses her baby makers to keep the Scrapper numbers growing. She supposedly has breeding stations spread throughout the sectors. Frankly, I can't imagine a worse place. We'll do everything we can to stop these monsters, you have my word. Alright, so there's something else basically, so let's ask the Mother shut down the Omnis. Did she do it? Is Mother the reason the Omnis shut down in the sectors? Like I said before, Admiral, I couldn't say. But if she didn't do it, I wish her some serious scrap if she knows who did. But I don't recommend asking her, Admiral. I don't recommend getting anywhere near her, for that matter. Frankly, Mother terrifies me. Is there something else you want to know about these Scrapper scum? Let's ask about the Scrappers who control these sectors. Tell me more about the Scrappers who work for Mother and who control these sectors. Each sector is controlled by one of Mother's cronies. You recognize them by their freakish mutations, brought on by their exposure to too much Neo-N. But I sincerely hope you don't see them, because if you do, well, usually you don't live to tell about it. It's not the bravest thing to do, but I'll say it again. Hide. Make yourself inconspicuous, Admiral, and you'll be lucky. You'll live another 10 or 15 years. Is there something else you want to know about the Scrapper scum? I don't know. We don't want to know any more about this. I don't need to know anything more about this. I don't blame you. It's not exactly for the faint of heart. And we'll learn about a little bit, about scrap and stuff like that. So let's learn about scrap. You mentioned something called scrap. Can you tell me more about this? Well, now that Omnis have been inactive for so long in Imperial Sol, the former currency no longer holds value of any sort. The only thing that does is scrap. Remnants of the Omnitech. Its metals, ship materials, and NON, all energy source. Our energy source. As Omnitech becomes scarcer and scarcer, which it has over the last 20 years, its value has appreciated, causing people to act in increasingly desperate and violent ways to get it. That's why scrappers want to destroy your ship so much. It's so they can collect its broken down parts, and sell them, just so they can prolong their miserable lives. But it's not just the scrappers and the pirates who desire this stuff. It's just that most of us common folk aren't willing to kill for it. At least, not yet. Is there something else you want to know, Admiral? Alright, so basically that's about scrap. Let's just learn about some theories about, shut down the Omnis. What theories have you heard about this shutdown? I've heard a few, Admiral. Even in times of starvation, people like to gossip. Probably the most popular around here is the Omni virus theory, which is that somehow the Omnis got some kind of machine virus that quickly spread and ultimately shut them down. But that theory doesn't hold water for me. Why not? It doesn't explain how or why they all shut down at the same time, which they seemingly did around here. One moment they were working, doing what they've always done, making our lives easier, and the next, they weren't. I don't know of any virus that can do that, do you? What other theories have you heard? Well, after that, you've got your less credible theories. Such as? Well, you got your Omni-Mass suicide theory, that states that the Omnis, upset over the rule of the Empire, somehow found a way to shut themselves down, to kill themselves because they no longer want to live. Then, you've got your Omni-Rapture theory, which is that the Omnis left this realm to go to Heavenly Realm, This theory is proper among certain fringe religious groups. Whack jobs, if you ask me. And last but not least, you've got the alien shutdown theory, which is that hostile aliens from another galaxy, or is it another dimension, shut down all our omnis, so that they could easily conquer us. Big problem with that theory is that, as far as I know, the hostile aliens never showed up. And what do you think? Me? I think we never should have been dependent on these things in the first place. That's what I think. Alright, so basically there's like all the crackpot theories and stuff. Let's end this conversation with Bowie. I promise, in the name of Oberon, we'll take care of these scrappers and get your armies up and running again. You say that, Admiral, but you'll fail or you'll stop trying sooner or later. Or worse yet, you'll die. But take this Neo-N, Admiral. We have plenty of it at the moment. I have a feeling you'll need it. And like I said, I know it's not the bravest thing to do, but it's the best if you hide. You'll live longer that way. Alright, so we get ourselves a fuel reward from this guy. End of transmission, sir. Do you believe what he said, Admiral? Unfortunately, yes. It explains everything we've seen so far. The army shut down in the Outer Rim, and so did their tech, including this cluster's folders. That's why those scrappers now run things here. So what do we do now, sir? First, what we need to do is find this mother. As Bowie said, if she didn't shut the armies down, chances are she knows who did. Or what did. If you want to move on, Admiral, open the star map below by clicking on it and choose our next system. Otherwise, you might want to stay and check the ground signal I was telling you about. Could be a good opportunity to gather some resources and put those commandos to use. Alright, so now that you've learned the basics, your second dock's being unlocked, basically now use like 2 fire squadrons basically in battle. Remember to make good use of it when commanding squadrons, and numerical advances often a turn point in battle. You can access the expedition dashboard here. Basically, like, prepare a mission over there. But before we do that, let's go in here. Basically, we're just gonna, like, put in our fire basically in. We'll take that out. We'll put in our fire basically in. I like to have like 2 fire spaces, like, for like the early game, so that's fine for now. All right, so let's scan this planet, see what's going on over here. Alright, so this is the minimum of commandos sent on an expedition. The minimum requirement of commandos is 3. The maximum number of commandos will be sent is up to 10, if you have enough of them. The more you send, the better your chances for success. This section displays the type of artifacts you will have a chance to collect during your expedition. Each type will always yield the same kind of reward. This section displays the types of major threats, exceptional dangerous situations your team is about to face in an expedition. Be careful about those. Ground distress signal displays the number of possible retreats your team will have during this expedition. Offers survival chance basically represents your chance of an officer returning safely. A healthy officer will have a chance to become back injured, and an injured officer has a chance to die. An injured or dead officer will abort the mission, forcing the team to retreat if they ship out loot. The resource extraction meter represents the minimum and maximum percent of encountered resources, artifacts included, their team will have a chance to bring back with them onto a ship, if the leading officer survives the expedition. And the commando survivor meter represents the chance your commandos have to return safely. It displays the minimum and maximum possible number of commandos that will not make it back to your ship. Alright, so basically what it's basically telling you right here, just like, our chance to do an away mission to, find us, battleship wreckage over here. We basically have no major threats, so there's, nothing, major that's going to kill us, so we don't have to worry about that. Though, basically, if we drop down, we won't have, one chance basically to retreat if, things go sour, so to speak. If I send, Zhao Mei Ito, we'll basically have, a chance of, losing, 10 to 8, of our commandos, and we'll basically only extract between, 50% and 59% of resources. Whereas if I basically send this guy over here, we'll basically extract more resources and have, less commandos lost, so this guy's definitely going. So, let's just launch the expedition and basically see how this basically goes. Lieutenant! Caliban detected an artifact on his planet that could be helpful to our mission. We have a good idea of where it is, but we'll need you and your team of commandos on the ground to find it and extract it. We'll have visuals, but space-to-ground communication will be minimal. We can't risk giving away the location of our battleship, or exposing you to potential local threats. Only contact us when it's secure to do so, and I'll decide an emergency retreat is necessary. Of course, any additional resources you encounter should be extracted too. This is a dangerous mission, and some of our commandos could die in the field. Do your best to keep them safe. Now, get going. A shuttle's waiting for you and the commandos. And good luck to you down there. Thank you, sir. And away she goes. There's no teleporting down. There's just, like, ship to take you down, basically. Now, I'll note this part of the mission, basically. We can't do anything. Basically, like, she's on her own, like, commander, like, team, so to speak. So, she's gonna do everything here for us and see how she, she basically does it, so to speak. And so far, she's doing pretty good. Alright, so, transmission module. The line is secure, Admiral. You've seen our bio readouts. What do you think we should do? Continue with the mission? So, basically, like, as we go along, I like the chance to, like, to pull these guys out if, like, you have, like, retreats available. We only have, like, one space, like, nothing happened, so we're basically good to keep going, so why not? Let's just keep going, I guess. Alright, here's the battleship wreckage. I didn't have, like, the fight, like, ability for this person, so we couldn't get anything from that, but oh well. Okay, we avoided the danger. Avoided the danger again. Hey, there's a resource, so we got some scrap from that one. Got some more scrap. More scrap. More scrap. And there we go, we're basically done. So, we got our scrap at the end there. Waiting for extraction, sir. So, on completion mission, basically this guy will survive, and basically get, like, all your resources like, found on, like, on your journey. So, it's like, pick them up now. So, expedition report. Expedition success. The expedition team returned to the NS Audius. There's our rewards. There's our healthy officer and commanders and stuff, so hooray. Alright, so, the star map button opens the current sector, star map, where you can choose your next destination sector. Alright, so, each node represents a stellar system you can visit. Each interstitial jump to a neighboring system costs 1 Neo-N. Each system contains different points of interest. You have ground signals, which basically indicate you have, like, a planetary expedition to jump on. You have trading beacons, which basically indicate a system where you can basically buy or sell or repair equipment. You have the Omniforge, which basically indicates you can basically upgrade your squadrons. And you have the anomalies, which basically, like, indicate, like, high risk and, like, low reward type of things, or like negative outcomes and stuff like that. Each time you jump, the current sector's rulers will get more suspicious. Once the alert counter reaches 0, they will follow your tracks and try to find you. Being caught will result in a very difficult and unprofitable encounter. So basically, that's like the rebel fleet like system based in this game, happening in this one here. Alright, so basically right here, and there's like the entrance where it basically came from. Next turn, basically, we'll have like the like enemy basically start to like follow us from like the entrance here. So basically, let's push on from this point. Now, I want to know basically on the star map here. You basically get a breakdown like what's basically going to be ahead of you, so you can like see like what anomalies basically are like going to be present and like what you might want to see. But it'll only like go so far. So note basically I can't like see what's down here, for example, because basically we're too far away, and you basically need to have like a certain amount of like tech basically to like see stuff like that. So if I operate my navigation scanner here, that'll give me a chance to see a little bit far away now. So we now like see these sectors here, and I can like map out a little bit better like where I want to go. So we can go here and find like abandoned like Alpha Factor over here, as well as like a couple anomalies. Down here we basically have like a secret military base, as well as a shipyard and stuff like that. Over here we just have like a simple like system of like a trading beacon, like as a a normal like planet basically on it. You want to basically keep this stuff in mind because basically like certain like systems basically have like better stuff for you basically to explore than like other systems, and you may like find like go into like places that have like more points like this here, for example, more profitable than like going to like this system like two planets that are like nothing, so to speak. Alright, well, I think that'll be for like next time because at this point we've actually gone like a very long time for like a single episode. Oops. We're just gonna call it here. I hope you guys basically enjoyed this like very first long episode, and I'll see you guys next time. I might actually break this into 2 episodes. We'll see in a moment, but we'll see how long this basically is, and we'll just go from there. So take care, all.